What's up guys, Brad, Poor Boys Garage. We're back at it. We got a clean slate from last video. Took off all the gauges, we broke the engine in, pulled the Holley carburetor off, and now to the most challenging thing I've done in a while. Holley Sniper EFI Hyper Spark. We're gonna go ahead and try to put this on. Well, we're not gonna try, we are gonna put this on. Hopefully we have no problems because I'm hearing all kinds of pros and cons about this setup. I had a couple hard-hitting buddies that have done it a few times, so I'm getting a bunch of input from them, telling me exactly how to do it and what some of the problems they've ran into when they did it. So hopefully we can alleviate that and go around all that crap and get this on. Wish me luck. This is my first Sniper. I'll give you the pros and cons after it's done. I may give you all pros, I may probably give you all cons and put the carburetor back on it. We will see. Here we go. Now that we are finally to this point on this car, thank goodness, it's been a long road. I'm going to start opening up boxes and just get an idea of what I got going on around here. Alright, well, I looked at everything on the table. I'm kind of just playing it by ear and kind of reading, just doing everything slowly as I can. The first thing I know I can do is put this distributor in because I kind of have an idea what I'm doing with that. So I'm just going to drop this in and then I can start kind of running my wires and knock that off the list. I think the biggest concern I'm going to have is just putting in the Sniper carb itself. The fuel injected carb, I guess, and doing all the wiring for that. I think that's just going to be something that's just a little bit out of my comfort zone. I know how to wire really good. I think it shouldn't be fine. I think it should be fine, but that's just something I'm going to slowly do as we go. So I'm going to put this in first. We'll do all the wires, and then we can at least get this party started. So you have these two little pegs that stick up. And I see that goes in the cap. There's a little recessed area here. It kind of looks like a little rectangle. And I already had this in a while ago, so I kind of got an idea. I had no idea at first. All this stuff's got to match up. So the little posts go into the rectangle. That in turn keeps your rotor in the right direction, and everything should be good. Because you could have this thing where this is all the way over here. You go and put your plastic piece, you'll see that it ain't jiving. So that's what this is for. Don't throw this away thinking it's just part of the packing. It's not. It keeps everything in line. All right, one day down. We've got a few things that we installed today. Got the new square style coil in. We got the Sniper system sitting on top of the car right now. See what it looks like. I'm not really digging the color, but that's just me. Got all the new distributor spark plug wires on, the new distributor in. That dang near took me the majority of the day just to do that. So we're gonna continue on. Let me show you what we did. So here's what we got. Put the new distributor in. You see I did all the new wiring. Looks like the Hershey Highway here. It's the way I like them. I like it all going in one direction. I really like zip tying all mine, like the zip tie holders. I really think that looks the best because you could really get these things gapped, looking absolutely flawlessly. That's the best way that I know how to do it. I know they make nice Mopar wire holders that go right down the side. Those look good too. But right now we don't have them, so this is the next best thing. We got the distributor in, and then we got the infamous Sniper EFI. I don't know, is that a carburetor? What do you call that? throttle body, I guess, on top of the 440. I have plenty of more work to do. I'm not even going to explain it. This is just what's going on so far. Everything's good. Alright, well, I said I was going to go in and call it a day, but I got all motivated, had some dinner, came back out. That's what I love about having my shop right in the backyard. Because when you're feeling that extra motivation or second wind, you can just come back out here and crank a couple more wrenches. But anyway, let me show you what I got going on. And then we'll slowly roll this into tomorrow morning. I think I'll be about tapped out tonight, who knows. I mess with a lot of wiring stuff on these old cars, and you know, I really kind of got to watch myself too and just make sure I'm doing everything one thing at a time. So what I did is when I put this EFI on, I ended up just pulling all my connectors to the back, and then I would kind of just open up my wiring packages and just kind of see what I'm working with here. We got the Sniper Hyper Spark with a lot of wiring harness stuff. I ended up plugging one side to that, and then I seen that this side goes to the coil itself. So we kind of eliminate some of that issue. I found this little wiring harness here. They plugged in together. So I kind of just was doing that. My distributor, I found the wiring plug for that, so we plugged that in. It kind of eliminates and gets the stress off me for that. And the same thing for back here. So I found this in the bag, I plugged it in here. We know that goes to that harness. I started looking at the screen. I seen that the screen plugs into here, and I'm talking the little touch screen guys that go into the car. So we know we're good with that. And this one, I think I found that. Not really sure. I'll let that one just kind of flap in the wind. I figured out that this goes to the sensor for the water temperature. So we're good there. That eliminates that. And then I had one more off the back of this EFI fuel injection. And that is the, I don't want to pull it out, but it's for the oxygen sensor. And I already started pushing it down there because I got to weld the bung in tomorrow. That's one of my jobs. I'm going to weld it into the, well, they say to get it to as close to the engine as you can. So it's going to go right in the collector of the header. And then another thing that I wanted to show you what's helping me is I'm kind of just figuring out where I want to place this stuff. I was thinking I put it over here, and then I got to extend the wires, and I really wasn't liking the way it looked. So what I think I'm gonna do is put it right underneath this coil. I think that looks pretty, you know, looks clean. I'll end up, some of these wires are way too long or they're way too short. Now that's a long wire. That's a good four footer, yeah, 4.5 footer. And what I'll do with that is I'll just cut it in the middle. I'll bring it close together, and then I'll just splice it back in so I don't have a big old roll of wires just going all over the place. So yeah, that's how I've been doing it, because like I said, it's my first Sniper. I'm just kind of taking wires, plugging things in, eliminating a lot of the things that I don't know what's going on with, different wiring harnesses and stuff like that. But tomorrow, like I said, I'll do the bung. That'll eliminate that wiring harness. I'll do the water temperature gauge. That'll eliminate that. And then we'll slowly bring it together to where I know where things are going. And then if there's some stuff still flapping in the wind, then I could kind of go through the instructions or get on YouTube and watch other people and see what's going on. So far, I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with everything. There's nothing really blowing my mind. Everything's pretty self-explanatory. There is one wiring harness that I'm a little bit, and that's just because I didn't get crazy yet, but this one here, I'm like, holy crap, where's all these go? Anyway, you guys are watching, you guys know, you're like, oh, that goes there, there, there. But somebody like me who's a rookie, I'm like, wow. All right, new day, here we go again. What I'm gonna do today is I'm just gonna weld this bung in. Now this was like a big old rectangle, it had the clamps. I just don't like doing it like that. I like welding them in, so I cut it down a little bit, just like into a little square. And then what I'm gonna do, let me show you. This is the header, this is as close to the engine as I could get. I got it on a little bit of an angle. You don't want these things 90 degrees, you want them up, I think for moisture, so moisture doesn't get into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of sand around this thing, and then I'm gonna just go ahead and tack it up in there, and it should be good for the O2 sensor. I got a bad feeling I'm gonna have to drop that head or just sag it down. It's just, I can't get up onto the top of it, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to drill this hole. Sucks. In here, what's the easiest, dropping the header down or taking out this torsion bar and sliding it back? Just if I do the header, man, I got all the plugs in. It's tight against that power steering, or against the steering box, and I don't even think it'll sag down that far without jacking the side of the motor and then playing all that game. I think the easiest way to do it is to pull this torsion bar, which I did that one and I didn't have no problems. I just tie a ratchet strap around it. I know a lot of people are having issues with them, and who knows, now that I say this, I'll probably have issues. But I think I'll take just mark it, back the bolt all the way down, this bolt here, back that all the way down, take all the pressure off, and maybe beat on it just a little bit and pull the clip, and maybe I'll slide this thing back. Man, sometimes I wonder why I get into drama like this. Oh man. You know when you got like, you're almost done and then you got to go backwards? Not trying to bitch, not trying to bitch. I love doing this stuff, but sometimes I'm just like, woof, here we go, down the rabbit hole. So I know this looks crazy, but this is the way I get these things. I don't know, it works for me. This is the way I get these torsion bars out. So first thing I do is I clean all the crap out of these little holders here in the back. I like get all the junk and stuff out, then I'll spray it with PB Blaster. Then I go up to the front. Of course, you're obviously gonna, like I did in the first part, you're gonna disconnect it or take this out. No pressure on the bolt here. And then I I don't clean it, but I do mark it. I don't know if that's a big deal, but for some reason I just feel like I need to mark it. I don't know why. And then I put PB Blaster in that. And then I tie a rope some crazy way so it don't slide. And I put my ratchet strap on it and tie it back here. I don't like to go around the rear end because I don't want to pinch this brake line, so I just, wherever you guys can find it. But if this is what works for me. Give it one more ratchet. Oh, see, popped right out. Okay, bung is in. Looks pretty good. It's at 45 degree, dang near. And it's just underneath the torsion bar, which that was my big concern. Zip tied her up, and she's shooting up. She's gonna connect into the one of the wiring harness connectors. And yeah, one down. We're getting one connector down at a time, and we're gonna keep on rolling. So I'm pull let the car come back down. We'll start back on the top. So let's go ahead and run the wires to the fuel pump. Let's drop the tank. Let me run the two lines that go, the return line and the fuel line, up to the Sniper EFI itself. And yeah, 3 days into it. And don't get me wrong, I've been busting butt out here doing this too. It's not like I'm out here for like an hour and then I go in the house. I mean, I'm literally out here I get out here, I go to the gym, and then I get here probably about 8:30, and then I don't walk in the house till probably about 5 o'clock at night. And obviously, I mean, I take lunch breaks and stuff like that, and if I get tired, I just go sit down and watch all your guys' YouTube channels. But I mean, I'm putting in some work, and it's taking me that long, and that's just for the wiring. So keep in mind when you do this Sniper system, if you do the first one, you are going to put some hours in, no doubt. And I'm still not done. Also, I have the screen ran into the car, the touch screen, and I have one hot wire that I need to find a good ignition 12-volt wire. So when you turn the key, it don't drop voltage or anything crazy like that. They tell you a million times, don't use that coil wire. I guess it drops voltage. I'm not really sure. I didn't really test it and turn the key. If they say don't use it and there's been a bunch of issues, I'm not going to use it. I also have my buddy Jeffro over at 2 Hacks. He said he put in a dozen of these things, and he said don't use that coil wire. And I'm like, all right. So I'm going to find that under the dash, just get my meter out. But that's the last thing I'm going to do. But let's go ahead and get this thing up in the air. Enough rambling. Let's start working. All right, car's up in the air. About to drop this tank, but I'm already seeing an issue. They want that return on the top of the tank. Fine, no problem. But I have no freaking way to put it on the top of the tank. I mean, that tank is completely up against the trunk pan. So now I'm gonna have to call some buddies and see some of my heavy hitters. I see this little, I mean, this wouldn't be bad if I could pop it in right here. Oh, you guys see that? There's like a little divot. I can put it like sideways right there, but oh man, this Sniper system. I hope this thing turns out to be awesome because it's a lot of work. All right, fuel pump. They said as close to the tank as you can, but below the tank. Now, I just called one of my heavy hitting buddies, and he said he used to put them up here, which that's kind of a nice spot because it encloses it. You could do like a little shield over it, and that ain't bad. But the thing is, they want it as close to the tank as possible because this is a, what is this, a pusher, not a puller, I think. Anyway, I hope you guys can see that. It's a little bit dark in here, but let's try this way. There you go. So you see where the rear end is and the tank. I'm gonna have to drop this tank down. I'd love to have it like hanging right here. Just kind of like make a bracket on this strap, off this strap. I think that'd be a good spot. I don't know. I do like this spot too, though, where he was telling me. That's a nice spot there. That protects it and everything. It's kind of below the tank. Oh, I don't know. All right, your fuel tank is dropped. Now I'm just over here draining it. Probably gonna have, I just don't know. I'm a little bit nervous because it's not good to drill into these things with fuel fumes. So what I'm gonna have to do is fill it up with water the best I can. Then I can pop that little hole. I'm gonna pop it right here for the, oh, what is this thing here? Oh, the return little grommet thing. Thingamajig, that's what I'm saying. Anyway. Just gonna go like this. So what I'm gonna do is probably pop it in right here as high as I can. I wish I could put it in here in the sending unit. I know they talk about doing that, but that ain't gonna happen for this. You can put it in over here too. Just as long as you could get a rag in there and catch the shavings. And this should go down in there. I wish I could just put it in the top like it says, but this top butts right against the trunk pan, so you're not putting it in the top. Then I was thinking about putting it over here. That'd be a good spot too, but then I can't get my hand in there to put the nut on this side. I don't know if I could get my hand in there. He'll probably just have to go right here. It's the best thing you can do. Fittings on. Feel pretty good with it. I'm just going to tighten the crap out of it. Hopefully you don't got no leaks. And yeah, tank's going to go back in. We can start doing our custom fuel filter freaking monstrosity right here. Get it mounted and hopefully we'll be doing good. All right, finally done. Took me the whole, the majority of the morning, but I put the fuel pump in this tray I made, as you've seen there. Everything looks to be good. I got all the lines all zip tied up as best as I can. Just trying to, my biggest concern is there's no exhaust on this thing yet, so I want to keep it tight so we could run the exhaust. I still got I'm missing a fitting for the return line, so I'm left a little bit of slack for that. I ran the power wire for the fuel pump all the way down the brake. The brake line. Just kind of zip tied up to that. Grounded right to the frame here. This is the only ground that I didn't take it all the way back to the battery. I just went right to the frame. I feel pretty comfortable with that. Everything else I went right to the battery. Return line, I see I missed a zip tie here. Return line went all the way up, just followed the fuel line, shot it up over the back of the engine. And all I gotta do is connect the fuel line and we'll be ready. Sniper system, we are close. One thing I don't have hooked up is the return line to the tank. I'm missing, of course, I got screwed out of one of the fittings, the 6AN fitting. They shorted me one. It's all good. I just let the hose hang. I'm gonna see if I don't think there's gonna be any crazy pressure. I'll probably just have a little bit thrown back. If I start seeing a bunch going in the floor, then I know to turn it off. I'm gonna hook some power to this thing. I'm gonna turn the key, let it purge, because everybody says purge it. So there's no contaminants in any of the lines. We'll see how far we get. I'm curious. All right, let's turn this key and let's see what we got going on here. Anything kicking on the fuel pump? All right, we got fuel. Woo! Thing comes out fast. So I went through my settings real quick on the screen, and as soon as I hit complete, fuel pump kicked right in. Yeah, that filled up fast. That was like almost a quarter bottle. I'll dump that in a lawnmower. Just gonna tighten this line up right here. Cycle this key, they say a few times. All right, let's give her a crank. I hear a leak. Where's it leaking? Oh, the return line. Well, that's the end of that, because I was thinking that it isn't going to return a lot of fuel back to the tank, just a little bit here and there. Now it returns a lot, so it's all on the floor. So I got to wait for my connector, my AN6 connector, and then I could connect the fuel return line back to the tank, and then we could try again. So Well, that about does it on the Sniper EFI install. And I just want to talk to you guys a little bit at the end of the video of some of the problems that we were having and some of the problems that we still have, because the car is obviously not running right. It runs and it sounds great, but it will not start without giving it a little bit of fuel. That isn't right. It won't stay running. It just dies out of nowhere and it just runs like absolute garbage. But this was basically my experience with the Sniper, and I'm gonna try to make it fast. I don't want this to drag out for, you know, an hour on this crap. But as you can see from the thumbnail, after this one, this is my first one. I am not a fan of anything that has to do with putting this on and installing it. And here are some of the quirks that these are some of the problems that I have with it. One, I couldn't believe how many wires there are for this thing, and not necessarily hookup wires, but just wires in general. When I think of an old car and I pop the hood on an old vintage classic, hot rod, anything, I don't want to see a jack ton of wires just hanging around. That's that's one of the things that I don't like. Now, some people might not bother them. They see the wires, they see the matrix, and hey man, that's more power to you. But for me, there was just way too many freaking wires on this bad boy. I mean, the wiring harnesses were out of control. A lot of them were plug and play harnesses, I get it. But some of the stuff was just wire extravaganza. Now, a lot of stuff I didn't film because it was just me cutting wires, shortening wires, lengthening wires to get some of the computer systems where I wanted to put it. And that's just part of the game with that kind of stuff. But I was just amazed with how many freaking wires there were. Another thing that I didn't like about it, in my opinion, was the fact that there's a wiring harness and the instructions are real vague on one of the white wires that you're supposed to hook up. It says points, and you've seen that in the video. It's like a points. It said points, white wire, and it like really didn't explain to me what exactly I need to hook up to that wire. So what do you got to do in that case? I'm sitting here calling Holly, and Holly was good to go. You know, their representation is, I'm not going to knock them. They, you call them up and, they answer probably the same question 100,000 times. So of course they're like, hook the white wire to the white wire. Well, my wiring harness wasn't the exact same as the one he was explaining. So I said, my harness colors aren't like that. And he said, well, which one do you have? And I was like, Sniper 1. He's like, oh, that's why. So, not bad conversation, but we got through that quick and easy. Hooked the white wire to the white wire. That was one of the things that was hanging me up, I should say. All right, so we're done with wiring. I'm just going to move on to all the stuff that, that was hanging me up. That bung in the fuel tank that's a terror right there. So, obviously you got to drop the fuel tank down. Now in a Mopar, they show putting it on the exact top. You've seen that in the video. I mean, a Mopar, you can't put it on the exact top. I had to put it as close up to the top as I possibly could. I mean, in getting your fingers, you better hope you put it in the right spot if you can't get it in the sending unit per se, because getting your fingers into the back of that to try to twist that nut on is a freaking nut roll in itself. So I wasn't too impressed with that whole giddy up of doing that. Short story long, I got the bung on, tank went back in, we were done with that. Moving on to the fuel pump. That fuel pump, those filters, I mean, when you put all those together, if you put them side by side, you're looking at something about, a foot in length, if not a little longer, that you got to mount. And that's if you keep it all together. Now, if you stagger the stuff around, that's probably a different story. But that fuel pump is, I mean, to put those things on the rail is just absolutely, it's a nut roll in itself. It looks heinous. Now, you can buy the fuel pump that's located inside the fuel tank. But if you already spent $400 or $500 on a fuel tank and a sending unit, the last thing you want to do is spend another $600 to get the stuff inside the fuel tank. So my buddy ended up let's just use what we had in the kit, right? Well, you see what I, posted in the vid where I mounted mine. I took the, you see that back there. I took cut an exhaust pipe in half and mounted it all right underneath the tank. The whole thing, the whole system, so it was like this long, both filters. It looks okay, not like crazy like where it was going to be mounted on the frame rail and all that, and that looked just horrible. But I'm not really a big fan of mounting all that crap all over. I don't know. I guess I just like the simplicity of old stuff, and I don't want more crap, and I felt like it was a lot. Now, keep in mind, that's what it takes to do a Sniper, and I know you're saying, well, if you don't want to do a Sniper, then you should have put a carburetor on it. I get it. To do the Sniper, that's the kind of stuff we got to do to make the Sniper happen. I'm just venting and throwing out my 2 cents on the whole thing. Keep in mind, this is my first Sniper, and yeah, just I ran into a glitch after a glitch. So I've heard the Sniper 2s, were way better than the original Snipers, or the Sniper 1, whatever this one is, and they ironed out a lot of the BS. So yeah, we get a fuel system on. We got, let's say everything was plumbed perfect, everything worked out great. We're to that section now, and it pretty much did as far as all that was concerned. Now, if you think you're gonna put this thing in a day, there's no way, unless you're really cranking down with a couple buddies or something that really know what they're doing. If you're gonna take your time and all that, you're looking at least 2 days, if not 3. If you could sit out here and keep cracking down on it and keep hammering down on it. But I couldn't believe how long it did actually take me to do that, zip tying all these wires and all that crap. Anyway, so we finally get to the thing where we're able to crank it. You start getting into your little settings, and he wasn't too bad per se. It's pretty self-explanatory. Basically just displacement, timing. Some of the stuff I did have to look up, like start, I don't remember the name of it. It was like start timing or something. When you want the car to start, what's the timing? I can't remember what that was. But anyway, stuff like that I had to look up, and you could get down like a smaller rabbit hole of different settings that a lot of the stuff I didn't know what they were anyway. So eventually, as I was troubleshooting, I started figuring out a few more things. Not too bad. One thing that hindered me was the fact that every time you made a setting almost, it says recycle the key. So you're like, okay, I'll recycle the key. Every time I turn the key to the on position, it kicks the fuel pump in and it's throwing fuel down the throat of the EFI carburetor. Well, you do that about 3-4 times, it shoots some fuel down that carb for sure. So you sit there and try to crank on it, next thing you know, I'm almost feeling like I'm about to hydro lock this bad boy. So it's like, why does it keep, every time you make a setting adjustment on the screen, you have to cycle the key, why does it keep just wanting to shoot massive amounts of fuel down the throat? So that was one of the things that I was like, right out of the box, this is like a $3,000 system, give or take. And I'm already having to deal with crap like this. I had a lot of comments basically about all the things that people have changed or done to get them to run right. And a lot of people were saying, your injectors may be messed up or something like that. Yeah, whatever. I'm not cracking into that thing. You could have that. So that was another issue that I didn't like about it right off the bat. So after you cycle the key 100 times, whatever, to make changes, too much fuel going into it. Fuel regulator maybe where I need to go. I'd heard a lot of people putting a fuel regulator on these things. We didn't do it. So maybe that's one of the things that needs to be added to it. Anyway, overall, I get it to run, but it's just like you got to give it gas to get it to crank, and it don't stay running. Now, let's say when I do get it running, which I have, and I've driven it, it's snappy as all can be. Like, it does sound gnarly as far as how clean and crisp it is when you're, when you touching that throttle. Now, I'm not saying it's like that when you're driving, but I'm just saying when it's standing still, it is probably one of the more snappier systems as far as a carburetor kind of concerned that I've ever heard. And I don't know, because this motor, you know, my buddy bought this engine. You guys know that video, it's down below. And I showed you all the stuff that was in it, you know, so it's cammed up. It's got, you know, it's got a little bit of, it's built a little bit, the motor. So, you know, I'm not really sure what the motor's supposed to sound like as far as how crazy and how in depth and snappy it's supposed to be. I'm sure it's supposed to be pretty good, but this carburetor did make it sound, you know, pretty dang rowdy, no doubt about it. So that I could tell was one of the, you know, pros to having this thing, and everybody did say that, like how much better these things do when you do have the Sniper on them and getting them dialed in, whatever. Anyway, I haven't got that far. So, you know, and I've also had people say take it for a ride and it'll start learning the car. We did that. That was a catastrophe. It didn't learn for nothing. I'm sitting there holding the brake, giving it gas, making sure she don't conk out, you know, yada yada, all that stuff that comes with this. So anyway, that's where I'm at with it. I'm not really that impressed with it. Even if it did just fire up and run, I'm sure I'd change my tune a little bit. But just as far as the wiring goes and how much work it is to put these things in, I'd rather stick with a bad to the bone Holley right out of the box. You know, that's just me, especially on a classic. Now these things probably are bad to the bone. You get a newer car and they look way better, but for a classic, I'm like, eh. To me, I don't really want to see it, to be honest. So here's where we're at now. The car, I had to raise the white flag. You've seen that. Because I just feel like I'm hurting the car more than I'm being successful with it. And you know, when it comes to that, and I feel like I'm gonna hurt it and it's not my car, I'm like, hey man, we gotta bring it to somebody who's more knowledgeable on these, because you gotta remember, it's my first one I've ever done. And I don't have anybody backing me up saying when I get into a bind, hey, come on over, show me what I did wrong. It's like you get some input from people, but nobody's over there with you holding that screen and going, oh, you're setting wrong here, you're setting wrong there, whatever. So I had to raise the white flag. I hate to say it. I mean, I don't want to give up, but when you feel like you're going to hurt the dang car, better than make it better, then you know it's time to. And I've done so many changes and settings to like minimal amounts of changes, timing changes, minimal amounts of fuel changes, all the way up to crazy amounts, you know, taking a little bar and just sliding it completely up and just making it drastic changes just to see what kind of stuff it would do. And I just felt like I wasn't accomplishing anything, to be honest. So, short story long, again, it's going up. It's going to get exhaust put on it. I had a lot of guys saying because I don't have exhaust on it, that could be a reason why it's not tuning. Then I had other guys saying we run straight headers on the dyno with Snipers and they do fine. So, you know, it's almost like the media. You know, you don't know what to believe anymore. Maybe some people are successful in this way because their car made it happen and it was okay with their car. And some people are like, no, I didn't have to do that. I totally did it like this and it worked out. Either way, I took everybody's stuff, put it in my toolbox, and it sucked no matter what I did. Nothing worked. So what we're going to do is it's going to go to exhaust here tomorrow. My buddy's going to come pick it up, drop it off at the exhaust place. And then from there, we're going to take it to a tuner that really knows what they're doing and has done Snipers a bunch of times and see what the problem is or what I did wrong. And now I had another tuner buddy, well, not a buddy, but a guy I talked to, and he said, Brad, I've done a dozen of these things and every one of them was a problem child. And I was like, man, that does not sound good to me. Every one of them you've done is a problem child. He said every one has either had to come back or is a problem child. So I'm like, man, right off the bat, I would never put this on any of my cars, to be honest. Now it's Sniper 2, you know, you gotta pay $4,000 or whatever. Maybe that one is totally different. And I have seen some videos where people were like, Sniper 2 is where it's at. I'm not that far yet. We're still on Sniper 1 and it's kicking my ass. And it kicked my ass, no doubt. Anyway, just want to give you the brief. I know this video was a lot of talking. It was just a lot of my experience. It was like do it yourself. Here's what I did. I was trying to get it all where I did a lot of work and filmed it, but it seemed to be just a lot of blabbering like it is now. And I know a lot of people don't like that. They want to see more working. Trust me, it's just the way this one came out. But anyway, to be continued as far as the end result of this thing. I will keep everybody posted either on the comments or I'll do another video. I know my buddy Larry's going to eventually let me beat the crap out of it because it definitely deserves that after all the drama this thing's put me through for the last 6 months or whatever. But oh well. It's just one of those ones that just kicks and screams, man. This car here is just, she's a fighter. I don't know why. She must have been abused when she was young or something, but she is just kicking and screaming the whole time, even when I talk sweet to her and tell her we're going to make her better and everything. But anyway, that's my story. I appreciate you guys sticking with me on this one. My name's Brad, Poor Boys Garage. Let them rip, not rot. Keep on saving them. Don't send them to the crusher. We hate that. Until next time, we are out. Later.